All right, here we are back at the Daily Chronicle. Today's gonna be a little different. The week's gonna be a little different. A lot going on right now, but my name is Rodney.
Hey, and I'm Keith, and this is the More in Common Daily Chronicle. Ultimately, Rodney and I decided let's record our journey day by day as a journal to look back on progress, to share with our daughters when they're ready for their journey later in life, that they can learn from ours. And then we decided let's put it out in the world and build some community around it and hear from others, since I'd love to say we know everything, but unfortunately, I'm not that smart.
Okay, so Mindset Monday. We're gonna keep that theme a little bit, and I don't even know where. So the weekend it was very intense for
with
me,
the protests
and violence and commenting and responses. It all put me into a pretty hopeless state of mind, which Keith can attest to. I was ready to burn it all, all of it, Thanos style, worse than Thanos style.
Yeah.
And let that sink in for a second. And so this morning, earlier this morning, we were having a production meeting to figure out what we were going to be doing as an organization, like what kind of messaging we were going to put out. We typically put out motivational stuff for today and try and be uplifting, and decided to pull that kind of stuff from social, and we're going to just kind of do a blackout and just say we're going to take a pause. And then my lovely wife reminded me that we have these shirts that we make that have this message on them. And I got to be honest, at first I was annoyed because I very much wanted to crawl into a hole and not hear anything else that's going on in the world right now. And but I got an obligation, one that I signed up for, specifically to speak out on things. So I'll leave it at there for the moment and get some of your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, in the spirit of Mindset
I mean, you were
Monday,
part of that conversation.
Yeah, like I'm really in this space of trying to understand my role. I've never thought of myself as a white person. I've always thought of myself as, yeah, sure, I'm a white guy, right? Like, or as you've put it, the white guy that hangs out with all the black guys.
Fact.
But never identified it as such, right? Like, it's just, okay, it's a fact, right? I think this weekend, even, I mean, as far as all protests go, I've felt my whiteness for the first time, like legitimately felt it, even though we talk about it all the time, and trying to really not grapple with it, but understand what that means as it pertains to how I can be a part. I think this is really important. Be a part of of the black solution, right? Like, the diaspora are a lot of different opinions, a lot of different debates, a lot of different things on what makes sense for the community. It is common for us white folk to want to contribute to that conversation without being asked, right? Like, oh, why don't we do this, or why don't we do this, or why don't we do this? Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about trying to understand what solutions are being debated, and then asking, what can I do to help with those solutions? Like, because at the end of the day, whether you want to admit it or not, like, as a white person, we have the privilege to be able to influence public officials. We have the privilege to influence each other, to help be a part of whatever solution is put in front of us, not try to mold it, not try to manipulate it, but just to say, hey, because I'm white, there's some value I can provide here. What is that value to you? And I'm trying to figure that, like, reading and listening, and that's the other component, like being in this space of really hearing, like, these protests and everything, what has been a result, what has resulted from them, whether it's a result of protesters or some outside groups or some, anti black people groups, because there are those that are contributing to the violence. Like, for the first time, like, my wife and I were talking about it this weekend. Like, I don't have an opinion on it, right? Like, I just don't feel like it's my place to think good or bad about the, like I do what you got to do, right? It sucks that things have burnt down. I think everybody would agree with that. But, like, at the same time, what can I do next week, the week after that, the 6 months from now, before this happens again? Not just in the spirit of the outrage and the media attention, but, like, ongoing. What can we do? And that's really where my mindset is today, all weekend, probably the rest of the week, probably going forward, as well as trying to make sure that it doesn't interfere with building our platform and building what we're trying to build, which is a part of what we want to contribute as a company to this solution, as a whole, right? So that's where my mindset's at.
I think the other thing for me, and I only got a couple minutes, but trying to get, like, case of the Mondays. Like, it's always kind of hard getting back in on Monday.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to focus today. Had a couple calls already and been all right, but I'm like a moment away from just losing all focus at any moment right now. And that's not awesome, because I want to do good at my job and I want to be there. I want to get things done that need to be done, and at the same time, mind state is kind of all over the place right now.
Yeah.
So
I hear that.
yeah, so we're gonna have a serious conversations kind of like this. We'll probably direct them a little bit more. This was just talking about our mindset, so it was everywhere, but have some conversations about some of these topics that are going on right now throughout the week, and hopefully you'll join in. So if you want to share what's going on with you today, we'd love to hear it, and if not, we respect that. So yeah.
Hey, have a good day, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.
Late.
Deuce.